Ghosts seem to be accepted by the English as a natural part of the landscape. With its rich history and turbulent past, many believe the spirits of those who died on English soil remain there today.
It's sort of almost part of the psyche, the English psyche. So this idea of spirits being associated with the land is very, very old and very much part of British culture.
Pubs are also an essential part of English culture and the way of life. It is Kirkstone Pass Inn, one of the oldest pubs in the world, that is said to be one of England's most haunted.
This place is full of spirits. But one of the spookiest ones is a slithery, cold thing.
Kirkstone Pass Inn sits 1,500 feet above sea level in the Cumbria region of northern England, making it one of the highest buildings in the country.
It was originally a coaching inn. The foundations date back to about 2,000 years. So you're talking a building that, predates the birth of Jesus Christ.
And the pub was actually built, was serving beer in 1496, when Henry VIII, I think, was 13. So quite a lot of beers have gone out this place.
The inn's nearest neighbour is 7 miles down a treacherous mountain pass.
It's like being in God's back garden, But when the mist rolls down, it's like you're in the middle of the clouds, And it swirls. And it swirls around the windows. And if you can imagine sort of what Jack the Ripper's fog was like, it's just like that. You can't see at all. It looks like somebody's holding a white blanket in front of the window pane.
Many have lost their way, never to be seen again, when the weather in the tranquil pass suddenly gives way to unexpected storms. One of the victims of the mountain pass was a young mother named Ruth Ray.
The story of Ruth Ray dates from the early 1800s, and in those days, poor people didn't have any other transport apart from their feet.
Ruth was at home tending her newborn son when she received the news that her father was on his deathbed.
This part of England is very mountainous, and if you wanted to go somewhere, you had to walk.
Ruth set out over the pass to see her father.
She had to take a baby with her. So she walked up Kirkstone Pass in snow, and nothing was heard from her.
You're literally on the edge up here. And if you were to walk out and the pub was closed and the mist came down, you would never find your way back. You would walk off the edge, you just wouldn't find your way. You can't see it. It's so dangerous up here.
You can imagine the emotions of a woman walking, knowing probably she's going to die, and also knowing that her child may die. There's no hope. The despair must have been incredible.
Ruth's frozen, lifeless body was later found near Kirkstone Pass Inn, just a few feet away from the warmth and shelter that could have saved her. In Ruth's arms lay her infant son.
By a miracle, she'd wrapped the child in a shawl, and the child somehow been kept warm and sheltered by its mother's body, and the baby son was alive.
Some say Ruth's love for her child is what keeps her spirit at Kirkstone Pass Inn.
There are reports of seeing a woman cradling a baby, seeing a woman looking for something, hearing a baby crying.
Ruth's wintry spirit is said to be shrouded in despair, doomed to search forever for the child she was never able to raise. The very stones of the old inn seem to be etched with misery of the wretched souls who left this life too soon. Kirkstone Pass Inn in Cumbria, said to be one of the most haunted inns in England, is also thought to be home to the spirit of a small child.
Neville was a young lad, was probably maybe 10, 11 years of age.
Kirkstone Pass Inn was one of the first coaching inns along the busy trade route to Scotland, and long ago, Nettle was the son of the inn's carriage master.
Wagons used to come up, change the teams of horses, people maybe come in and have a beer or stay the night.
Nettle eagerly awaited each new traveller who came up the pass, until one day his excitement led to disaster.
He heard a carriage coming. He walked into the road and we didn't stop. They ran him down. He died. They killed him. And the coach didn't stop at all. Just went straight on to Scotland. He's one of our people that stay with us now.
At Kirkstone Pass Inn, it is believed that Nettle's impish spirit is the force behind many baffling pranks.
One evening in particular, I'd done the cashing up, put the burglar alarms on, locked all the doors, went to my home. When I came in the morning, all the chairs were all stacked on top of the tables. All the paintings we have on the wall were all taken down and were laid on the seats. Couldn't believe it, And that's the sort of little tricks that he gets up to.
Hotel staff say they've grown accustomed to Nettle's mischief.
Lights come on when they should be off, and doors are locked when they should be open. You definitely get the feeling you're sharing it with another entity, I suppose.
As a kid, he's having fun. It's as if you can hear him laughing at you, He's like your naughty grandkid or your naughty son, but not malicious.
Locals believe that lurking within the walls of Kirkstone are much darker spirits, ghosts whose identities are not known and whose intentions are a mystery. One ghost is said to be the most evil of all its spectres, the mere mention of whose existence is strictly forbidden within the pub.
One evening, my maintenance manager and myself were cashing up when we heard somebody walk across the ceiling. We had a dog with us at the time, so we went up the stairs, opened the door to the corridor, and tried to make the dog go first, being brave. She wouldn't go. She sat down and totally refused to go. So you can imagine two big guys, right? One saying, "You go first." "No, you go first,"
Somehow they knew these noises were neither the pranks of a young boy nor the cries of a desperate mother, but something far more terrifying.
We burst into the first room, opened the door, flashlights everywhere, nothing. So we went to the second room, hearts bumping, nothing. So now we know that whatever is in the last room, because there's no other way out of the pub, and this is the final room. We took a big deep breath and burst into the room. I saw something black flash across the side of the wall, and it kind of like dissolved through the wall. It was something evil. It made you scared. It was the most frightening time of my life.
Staff of the Kirkstone Pass Inn say the many spirits, both good and evil, will always make their presence known.
At times we've looked out and you see people along the road. You go outside the door and there's nobody there. They want to know about you and you want to know about them. Sometimes things happen and we just accept it.
But personal experiences have left some locals with a healthy respect for the existence of the supernatural visitors.
The local taxi drivers won't come in the pub. If you order a taxi, they'll wait outside. They will not come in. And then one of the guys is about 6'2", and he weighs over 200 pounds. He's a massive man, And one day he had an experience and he will never set foot in the pub again.
The taxi driver would never tell anyone what had happened, but the event left its mark.
He wouldn't set foot in the pub if you offered him £100, he wouldn't come in.
Just behind Kirkstone Pass Inn grows an ancient hanging tree where countless criminals once gasped their lives out. It is said that silent souls still roam the site of their untimely deaths.
We have a tree in the back garden where people used to be hung, and because you weren't allowed to be buried in consecrated ground, they just used to throw them over the fells, you know. So you could be walking along maybe one day and find a skull or something.
The inn was also the site of a battle where the English ambushed a band of marauding Scots.
And they killed every single one of them. It's a complete massacre. I think there are a lot of unhappy things that have happened around here. And I think sometimes maybe, every now and again, they come back.